The year is 1453. The air in Constantinople, a city that had breathed for over 1,000 years, is thick with the metallic tang of blood and the ghost of incense. In the great palace of the Byzantine emperors, a silence has fallen. Not the reverent silence of prayer, but the hollow echoing silence of a tomb. We are standing in the throne room. But the throne is empty. Its gold has been pried away, its jewels gouged out like eyes. The silk banners that once depicted Christ Pantocrator, the ruler of all, now lie in shredded heaps on the floor, trampled into the filth by the boots of an army that serves a different god. Sunlight, thick with dust and the smoke of 1,000 fires, cuts through a shattered mosaic on the high walls. For 11 centuries, this room was the heart of the Christian world, the centre of an empire that saw itself as the last child of Rome. Now it is a crime scene, a testament to the fact that nothing, not even a kingdom blessed by God, lasts forever. If you've ever walked through the ruins of an ancient place and felt a chill, a sense that the stones themselves are trying to speak, then you know where we are. We are in the final moments of a world. And if you listen closely, beneath the crackle of distant fires and the weeping that has become the city's new anthem, you can hear the footsteps of the man who ended it all. He is only 21 years old, Sultan Mehmed II. He walks through the ruined chamber, not with the swagger of a conqueror, but with the quiet intensity of a collector who has just acquired the rarest prize on earth. He runs a hand over the cold, defaced marble of a pillar, his fingers tracing the lines where a cross used to be. He isn't just looking at a room, he is looking at history itself. He sees the ghosts of emperors who sat on that broken throne, Justinian, who built the Hagia Sophia, Basil, the Bulgar slayer, who blinded an army, Constantine the Great, who founded this city as a new Rome. They are all here, shadows in the dust, and Mehmed feels their weight. He understands what he has done. He hasn't just conquered a city, he has broken a timeline. He has ripped a page out of the book of the world and declared that history will now be written in his language. His commanders stand behind him, silent, waiting. Men of iron and fire, men who have spent 53 days hammering at the city's legendary walls until they finally cracked. They see spoils, slaves, gold, but Mehmed sees something else. He sees a symbol, and he knows that to truly own it, he must possess not just its stones, but its soul. Miles away, in a forgotten corner of the city near the old sea walls, that soul is hiding. Her name is Theodora Palaiologina. She's the last daughter of Byzantium, the niece of the last emperor, Constantine XV, who died this morning on the ramparts, his body lost in a mountain of the dead. But Theodora is not a princess anymore. She is a ghost, huddled in the nave of a small desecrated church, surrounded by the terrified all women of the city. Her hands, which once learned the delicate art of manuscript illumination, are raw and dirty. Her face is smeared with soot, not just for disguise, but from the very air she breathes. The city is burning, and with it, her entire world. Just hours ago, her mother, a woman known to history only as Lady Eudokia, performed a final, desperate act of love. It was not a prayer, it was a desecration. She took a pair of shears, the kind used for shearing sheep, and cut Theodora's long, dark hair, the hair that marked her as nobility, the hair that might have been her death sentence. The locks fell to the stone floor like spilled ink. Then she stripped her daughter of her fine silks and dressed her in the coarse, scratchy wool of a servant girl. She made her beautiful daughter plain. She made her a princess into a nobody, because in a conquered city, being a nobody is the only hope of survival. As her mother worked, her hands trembling, she whispered the same words over and over. "They will not have you. They will not have you." It was a mother's promise against the power of an empire, a promise she had no power to keep. Back in the throne room, Sultan Mehmed sits down. Not on the throne itself, that would be too simple, too crude. He sits on the steps leading up to it, a position of both mastery and contemplation. He is the victor, yet he understands that victory is a fragile thing. He knows the stories of conquerors who won the battle, but lost the peace, whose empires crumbled because they failed to understand the people they had subdued. Mehmed is different. He is a student of history, of power. He knows that you don't defeat a people by simply killing them. Massacre creates martyrs, and martyrs inspire rebellion. You defeat them by erasing who they were, by taking their most precious symbols and making them your own. He looks at the shattered mosaics, the empty throne, the weeping city outside, and he sees a canvas. He is an artist, and his paint is power. His commanders are growing restless. The army is waiting for the signal. The 3 days of looting promised to them by the laws of war. They are owed this city. But Mehmed raises a hand, and the silence in the room deepens. He thinks of the man who ruled this city, Constantine, a man who chose to die with his soldiers rather than flee. There is a respect there, the warrioress respect for a worthy foe, and in that respect lies an idea, a strategy far more brilliant and far more terrifying than simple slaughter. What if he could conquer their memory? What if he could make the people of this city forget they were ever Roman, ever Byzantine, ever anything but his subjects? The first step is not to destroy, but to control. He turns to his Grand Vizier. "Find me the women of the emperor's court," he says, his voice quiet but absolute. "Find me the nobles, and find me the girl. Find me Theodora." He does not yet know what he will do with her. Is she a prize, a bargaining chip, or something else entirely? A symbol to be reshaped, a living piece of the old world that he will now teach to kneel to the new. The hunt begins. Not for soldiers, but for a girl in a servantess dress, a princess hiding in the ruins of her own kingdom, a girl who carries the blood of 1100 years of emperors in her veins. The fate of a city, of an entire civilization, hangs on what he decides to do next. And what he decides will not be what anyone expects. It will be something far more calculated, something that reveals the true genius and the chilling cruelty of the man they called the Conqueror. If you believe that the most important moments in history are not the battles, but the choices made in the silence after the fighting stops, then you need to keep watching. Because the story of Theodora is not just about the fall of a city, it's about what happens when one world dies and another is born from its ashes, and what a young woman must do to survive being caught in the fire. The Sultan's order spreads through the conquered city, not like a wildfire, but like a frost. It is cold, precise, and absolute. The men tasked with this hunt are not the wild looters now tearing through the merchant quarters. They are the janissaries, the elite slave soldiers of the empire, men taken as boys from Christian lands, stripped of their names, their families, their faith, and forged into the single, most disciplined and ruthless fighting force in the world. They do not run. They march. In perfect, terrifying synchronicity, they move through the labyrinthine streets, their iron-shod boots echoing on stones that are still slick with the blood of the city's defenders. They are not looking for gold, they are looking for people. They carry lists, names whispered by spies and collaborators in the weeks leading up to the final assault. They move from house to house, church to church, their methods chillingly efficient. A single knock. If the door opens, they enter. If it does not, an axe splinters the wood in a single blow. There is no shouting, no rage, just the quiet, methodical work of repossessing a city's soul, one terrified noble at a time. This is the new order, the quiet, bureaucratic face of conquest. A list, a knock, a door kicked in, a family dragged into the street, their names crossed off. This is what an empire looks like when it stops fighting and starts ruling. Inside the small church of St. Theodosia, the air is thick with the smell of fear. The women huddle together, have stopped praying aloud. Their prayers are now frantic, silent bargains with a God who seems to have abandoned them. Every shout in the street, every distant scream, every tramp of marching feet makes them flinch. Theodora is among them, a ghost in a crowd of ghosts. The coarse wool of her servant's dress scratches at her skin, a constant, irritating reminder of what she has lost. She is no longer Theodora Palaiologina, niece of the emperor. She is just another terrified girl in a room full of them. She clutches a small wooden cross hidden in her palm, its edges worn smooth by the thumbs of her ancestors. It is the only piece of her old life she has left. She closes her eyes and tries to picture her mother's face, tries to hear her voice again. "They will not have you," but the words feel hollow now. The promise is fraying, thread by thread. With every approaching footstep, outside the marching stops. A profound, terrible silence descends upon the church. The women hold their breath. The silence stretches, thins until it feels like it might snap, and then the sound they've been dreading. A single heavy knock on the ancient oak doors. No one moves, no one breathes. The knock comes again, harder this time, the wood groaning in protest. Then the splintering crash of an axe, a sound so violent it feels like a violation of the sacred space. The doors burst inward, and the daylight that floods the church is not a promise of salvation, it is an indictment. The janissaries step inside, their figures silhouetted against the burning city. They move with a predatory grace, their eyes scanning the terrified faces, dismissing them one by one. They are looking for the sheen of nobility, the telltale softness of a life lived without labour, the faint glimmer of defiance in the eyes. They walk past Theodora. Her disguise is working. Her face is smudged, her hair a hacked mess, her posture hunched in fear, like all the others. She is invisible. A wave of impossible relief washes over her, so potent it almost makes her faint. And then a woman near her, a distant cousin of the court whose name she barely remembers, begins to sob uncontrollably. One of the janissary officers turns, his face impassive. He gestures to the woman. She is dragged forward, her pleas incoherent with terror. He asks her a question in broken Greek. He is asking for the princess. The woman shakes her head again and again, but her eyes, her terrified, pleading eyes, betray her. They flick, for just a fraction of a second, towards Theodora. It is not an act of malice, it is an act of pure animal fear, but it is enough. The officer's gaze follows hers. He looks at Theodora, really looks at her this time. He sees past the dirt, past the rough-spun wool. He sees the fine line of her jaw, the way she holds her head, the sudden fierce fire of defiance that ignites in her eyes as she realizes she's been seen. He does not smile, he simply nods, a small final gesture. That one, he says in Turkish. The spell is broken. The invisibility cloak of anonymity is torn away. She is a princess once more, in the worst possible way, as they lead her out of the church, back into the nightmare of her captured city. She understands a terrible truth. Sultan Mehmed could have prevented all of this. He is a conqueror, but he is not a barbarian. She knows the story, whispered in the court in the weeks before the end. He had made her uncle, the Emperor Constantine, an offer. An offer that was both an insult and a lifeline. Surrender the city, bend the knee, become a vassal of the Ottoman throne, pay tribute, and you may continue to rule your people, to worship your God, to live. Mehmed did not want to smash Constantinople into dust. Not at first. He wanted to possess it intact. Like a collector who finds a priceless diamond, his first instinct was not to shatter it, but to place it in his crown. But Constantine, the last of a long line of Caesars, refused. To rule as a puppet what his ancestors had ruled as an emperor was a fate worse than death. He chose martyrdom for his city, for his faith, for the memory of Rome. He chose to die on the walls. Now Theodora understands. This destruction, this slaughter, this hunt for her, this is not the Sultan's rage. It is his disappointment. It is the cold, calculated aftermath of a rejected offer. He is not punishing the city for fighting. He is punishing it for making him destroy what he wanted to own whole. This makes him infinitely more terrifying. He is not a man ruled by passion, but by a chilling, logical ambition. And she, Theodora, is now a part of that logic. She is the most valuable remaining piece of the treasure he had tried to acquire peacefully. As she is marched through the streets, her people avert their eyes. They cannot bear to look at her, the living symbol of their final catastrophic defeat. The walk to the great palace is the longest journey of her life, and at the end of it, in the ruined throne room, the 21-year-old Sultan is waiting. She is brought before him, and for the first time, the last daughter of Byzantium and the conqueror of her world lock eyes. The silence that falls is heavier than stone, and in it, an empiress future and her own will be decided. If you are still with us, it is because you understand that this is the moment that truly matters. The clash of armies is over. Now begins the war of wills. Subscribe to Crimson Historians. because we are about to witness what happens when a conqueror tries to possess not just a woman, a city, but her soul. Theodora stands before him, and the world shrinks to the space between them. The vast, ruined throne room, with its ghosts and its echoes, fades into a blur. There is only the conqueror on the steps, and the captive on the floor. He is dressed not in armour, but in dark silks, a stark figure against the despoiled marble. He is younger than she expected, his beard still sparse, but his eyes are ancient. They are the eyes of a man who has read too many books and seen too many battles. A man who sees the world not as a home, but as a chessboard. He does not see a girl shivering in a servant's rags. He sees a piece, the final, most powerful piece of a game he has just won. He sees the blood of Constantine the Great, of Justinian, of the Palaiologos dynasty, all contained in this one fragile vessel. To possess her is to possess the legitimacy he craves. It is the ultimate act of inheritance. Theodora feels his gaze like a physical weight, and she forces herself to do the one thing she has the power to do. She straightens her back. The blood of 100 emperors is a kind of armour, and she wears it now. She lifts her chin, and in her eyes the fear is still there. A flickering candle in a storm, but it is surrounded by a cold, hard wall of pride. She will not weep. She will not beg. This room was her birthright. She will not be a slave in it. He speaks, and his voice is not the thunder she expected. It is quiet, measured, and his Greek is flawless, academic. It is the Greek of scholars, not of soldiers. The sound of it is a fresh wound, a reminder that he has not just conquered her world, but studied it, dissected it, learned its language in order to better take it apart. Theodora Palaiologina, he says, and her name in his mouth sounds like both a verdict and a possession. Your uncle was a brave man. He was also a fool. He chose to die for a memory when he could have lived for a future. He lets the words hang in the air, a judgment on the dead emperor and a question to his living niece. He rises slowly and descends the steps, stopping just a few feet from her. He circles her, not like a wolf, but like a philosopher, examining a statue, a relic of a lost age. He thought this city was made of stone and faith, Mehmed continues, his voice a soft murmur. He was wrong. It is made of people, and people can learn to serve a new master. People can learn to forget. He stops in front of her again. Look at you, dressed in rags, your hair shorn like a common slave. Your mother was clever. She tried to make you worthless, but she does not understand value the way I do. Your name is worth more than all the gold that was in this room. This is the moment, the offer, the test. She braces herself for the inevitable command, the order that will seal her fate in a harem, a name on a long list of conquests. But his strategy is far more insidious. I will not harm you, he says, and the lie is so profound it is almost beautiful. You will be given chambers in my new palace. You will have silks, servants, the finest food. You will live as a princess, not a Byzantine princess. That world is over. You will be a princess of my court. Your presence will be a symbol to your people. A symbol of continuity, a symbol that I am not a destroyer, but a successor. He pauses, letting the poisoned honey of his offer sink in. All you must do is accept your new reality. All you must do is be seen to be loyal. Your people will see you thrive, and they will understand that the old way is dead, but life goes on. A new life, a better one. It is a brilliant move. He is not offering her a cage of iron, but one of gold. He is not demanding her submission with a sword, but inviting it with a promise of comfort. He is asking her to become his single greatest piece of propaganda, to be the smiling face of her civilization as death. He is asking her to help him erase her own people's memory. Theodora's mind races. She sees the faces of the women in the church. She feels the phantom weight of her mother as shears at her hair. She hears the last, defiant cry of her uncle on the walls, and she understands that her life is no longer her own. It belongs to them, to the dead and the defeated. Her survival is meaningless if it comes at the cost of their memory. She looks the Sultan in the eye, and for the first time she speaks. Her voice is hoarse from thirst and grief, but it is steady. It is the voice of a queen, not a captive. My name, she says, her Greek as pure and classical as his, is not a title. It is a testament. My world is not over, your majesty. It is in this room. It is in the blood on these stones, and in the prayers that still echo in the air, even if you cannot hear them. them. She takes a small, almost imperceptible step back, an act of claiming the very ground she stands on. You speak of a new life, but a branch that is cut from its tree cannot be grafted onto the sword that felled it. It can only wither and die. I will not be your symbol. I am the daughter of the Paleologoi. I am the niece of the last emperor of the Romans. I am a memory, and a memory cannot be killed. It can only be forgotten, and I will not help you make my people forget. The silence that follows is absolute. The Janissary guards shift, their hands tightening on their weapons, expecting the order for her execution. Theodora feels her own heart hammering against her ribs. A frantic bird in a cage of bone. She has just signed her own death warrant. She has chosen defiance. She has chosen to die. But Mehmed does not erupt in rage. He does not call for his guards. Instead, a slow smile spreads across his face. It is not a smile of warmth or amusement. It is the smile of an astronomer who has just predicted the path of a falling star and watched it perform exactly as he knew it would. He is impressed. He is even pleased. Good, he says softly. So the blood is still strong. This is better. He looks at her, and for the first time she sees not a conqueror, but something far more dangerous, a teacher, a man who believes he can re-educate the world. You believe you're a memory, he says. I will teach you that memories can be broken. They can be unwritten. It will be a long lesson, but we have time. He turns and walks back toward the steps of the throne, his back to her. Take her away, he says to his guards, his voice casual, as if dismissing a servant. Put her in the old tower by the sea. No silks, no servants, just bread, water, and 4 stone walls. Let her sit with her memories. Let's see how long they keep her warm. He does not look back as they drag her away. He does not need to. The game has begun. He has made his opening move. She has made hers. Now the long, slow, grinding work of breaking a soul will commence. And he is a patient man. If you thought this was a story of a princess and a sultan, you're mistaken. This is a story about the nature of power itself. Not the power that takes cities, but the power that unmakes a person piece by piece. Subscribe now, because we are following Theodora into the darkness of that tower. And what happens there is the part of the story that history